Hi, I'm Aurélie Favier, and in this tutorial we explain how to stop hydration by solvent exchange and how to prepare polish section for scanning electron microscopy. After preparation of a sample of cement paste, mortar or concrete, you want to test it at specific times, 1 day, 3 days, 28 days. Today I will show you how to stop hydration on a sample of cement paste. First, the sample must be strong enough to be sewn. If your sample is not strong enough, then you will definitely stop the hydration using freeze drying or filtration under isopropanol. Once the slide is cut, it must be immersed in a sufficient amount of isopropanol with a 90% purity. It will be necessary to renew this solution regularly the first 24 hours, and then every 24 hours for 4 to 7 days maximum. The disc will then dry in a desiccator for 48 hours. Your slide is finally ready to be put in resin and polished. It will first be polished with a 1200 grain size sandpaper until a flat, shiny surface is obtained. You can then cut a small piece, and residual dust must be blown. The sample is then placed in the mold to be resin coated. The mold here are homemade silicone molds, but commercial mold can be used. In order to avoid air bubbles, the samples are kept under vacuum during the introduction of a resin. However, you can also pour the resin first and then vacuum it to remove any air bubbles. We are going to prepare the resin. It's a mixture of 80% resin with 20% hardener. This resin is well mixed and sucked through the pipe to fill the molds. The amount of resin can be adjusted so that our samples have the same height, and hold them some minutes under vacuum again. The resin hardens within 24 hours, and then it is possible to demold the samples. I will now show you how to polish the samples. First of all, we will slightly discover the sample with a 1200 sandpaper. A few seconds of polishing to remove a thin layer of resin at 150 rpm. The trace of a mold must be no longer observed, and continuous line must not be observed between the samples and the resin as it is present on the right picture. Then the polishing is carried out using a spray containing particles of diamonds and a lubricant, petroleum. There are at least 3 steps corresponding to a diamond particle size. We always start with the biggest one, 9 microns, and then the finest one, 1 microns. In this slide, I show you some indicative time of each step depending on the sample types, mortar, paste, concrete. Of course, this time must be adapted to your samples and sample age. It is recommended to not rush and control regularly the first time. At least 1 drop every 2-3 seconds of lubricant is needed, and the diamond particles must be renewed every 45 minutes. Samples should be cleaned with an ultrasonic bath in isopropanol between each step. It is recommended to have 1 polishing disc per size. Finally, your sample after cleaning must be stored 48 hours in the desiccator to remove any trace of solvent that can contaminate the electron microscope. Before to be used for microscopy, we need to have a conductive layer. Typically, for polishing section of cement, we coat with carbon. We put a piece of carbon thread, then we adjust the height of the sample to get a carbon layer of approximately 10 to 15 nanometers. Finally, we put under vacuum the sample, and we can apply high current to pulverize the carbon on the sample surface. Your sample is finally ready.